This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only two-time PWG Battle of Los Angeles champion, King Ricochet, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open Podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California.
And wading through 0 inches of snow and frigid 60-degree Los Angeles winter temperatures to be with you here today, I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the Busted Wide Open Podcast. Yes, that's right. This week, Nick is joining us from London, from around the world, the traveling man himself. We apologize to those of you who are following us live on YouTube. We are a little bit late because we had to set up from a hotel room in London. That's not an easy thing. Doggone it. Doggone it. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. Normally this sort of thing doesn't happen, but if you will, stay with us because here on this show, we do have a wonderful group of people, and they're live in the chat, and they're letting Nick know that they can't hear him. We get these people from our Facebook discussion group. You can just go to Facebook and search for Busted Wide Open. We have a wonderful discussion group there. You can also find us on Twitter at Busted Wide Open and on Patreon at patreon.com/BWO or Busted Wide Open. We have great patrons as well, and we'd like to thank them every week for all that they do to support this show. If you would like to join up with patreon.com, you can do that and get all kinds of rewards from our various tiers, from show notes, swag. You can get Skype calls with Nick and myself, and you can be part of our Patrons Pick'ems challenges for the big 4 pay-per-views with WWE every year. So then, by the way, while I'm at it, congratulations to our new Patrons Pick'ems champion, Chris White, who just picked it up at this last Royal Rumble. So congratulations over there. And while I'm at it as well, while I'm talking about this, I'd like to throw out a thank you to everyone who listens to this show, because without you guys, we would not be able to do this. We would not be able to watch Nick fumble around in his London hotel room trying to figure out why we can't hear his voice on the live stream. I can hear you, and I can hear you just fine. Good times. Nick is now, if you're now watching our live stream, Nick is saying he can't. You guys can't hear him at all. Good times. Nick, I'm going to just check in with you real quick. Based on how we are right now, should we restart the stream and try this all over again, or should we plow through like the professionals we kind of sort of are? That's probably true. If you guys can't hear Nick, we might need to start this all over again and just go from scratch again. So, Nick, give me the yay or nay. Should I wish everyone to tell everyone to hold still and sit tight, and we'll be back shortly, or how should we play this? All right, everyone, hang tight. We will be back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to try this again. Can you hear Nick now? If you can't, that's what he's wondering. We are back for a moment. We're going to test drive this and start it all over again and pretend like nothing ever happened. Can no Nick yet? I do look great when I talk. I'm assuming we still can't hear Nick. Man. Apparently, everything is looking great on his end, and he's not sure why you all can't hear him because the levels are all showing on his YouTube connection. So there appears to be no reason why this should be happening, other than they finally realized over in the WWE how right Nick is about all his booking, and they decided to shut him down. That's what I'm thinking. Putting on the tinfoil hat, saying Vince is out to get Nick is what it is. Dang it. Damn you, Vincent K. McMahon. Always out to throw a wrench into things. Yeah, we want to try and figure out this whole traveling kit thing. Apparently, we haven't quite figured it out yet. This is a trial runs and all this. Is there something? Question for Nick: is there something downstream from OBS that could possibly not be picking it up if you're seeing your levels in OBS? Is there anything downstream from OBS? Patrick in the chat. Yes, we're going to try and Fonzie it here in a second. Fonzarelli over there in London. Uh-oh. We may have had a breakthrough.
I fucking figured it out.
May.
Son of a bitch. You dirty, dirty rat. You dirty, dirty rat. Can you hear me now, internets?
Oh.
Oh, please tell me you can hear me now. There we go. I found you. You'll never defeat me, OBS. I'll get you every time.
Hey! Hallelujah.
How about we do this one more again?
Let's do this right this time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you in the chat for helping us out. Thank you for sticking with us through this. All right. Hope you don't mind hearing the beginning of that show again, because we're just going to do this all over again. And yeah, you saw nothing.
Magic.
Nothing.
And
yeah.
Here we This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only two-time PWG Battle of Los Angeles champion, King Ricochet, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open Podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back once again to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, this time with audio. My name is Nick Howell.
And wading through 0 inches of snow and frigid 60-degree Los Angeles winter temperatures to be with you here today, I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to you, Nick, coming live from a hotel room in London. Thanks to everyone who's being patient with us in our YouTube chat room. It's not easy to have Nick on the road, but dang nabbit, we're going to get it done. Welcome to the show today. We'll be discussing Raw, which is still a very entertaining show. Actually, it's been pretty entertaining the last few weeks. We've also got to talk about New Japan. Things are happening over there. Nick, there's lots going on, and we're looking forward to talking about it. Let's do some housekeeping, and we'll get right into it.
Yes, as always, guys, come over to Facebook, search for Busted Wide Opens, like our page, and send us a join request to get into the group, the discussion group with the rest of the phenomenal ones. And you also want to be in our Discord server, up-and-coming real-time chat. All kinds of good stuff going on in there all throughout the week for every show, as well as dedicated channels for pay-per-views. You can find the link to that in the description below if you're watching here on YouTube, or pinned across all of our social media profiles. Speaking of which, you can also find us over at Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, streaming live right here on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's youtube.com/bustedwideopen. We're on that race to 1,000 subscribers and about halfway there. So thank you to everybody for subscribing to the channel. Welcome if you haven't seen it before. And yes, it looks a little weird today because I'm in a hotel room in London and it's 1:30 in the morning. But hey, we don't miss shows. We do it live.
You got a whole new respect for all of the people who want to watch wrestling in London, huh?
Hey, absolutely, man, because it was freaking impossible, okay? We'll talk about that later. That's a
whole new respect for our British viewers.
Yeah, no kidding, guys. Try using your Hulu anywhere outside the U.S. They're smart. That said, youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you're subscribed. Last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons for all of your support. Seriously, sincerely, it allows us to do things like this, exactly, to have this kind of kit. And you know, it keeps me motivated to stay up till 1:30 in the morning on the other side of the world. And somehow magically, I found a hotel with good internet connection and a wired connection at that. So Ian is in Los Angeles. I'm in London. And it feels no different right now. That's the magic of the internet. Holy smokes. And it's the magic of you guys and your contributions from Patreon. So thank you very much for all of your support. Patreon.com/BWO if you'd like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards to be able to get access to show notes at the $5 tier, as well as the ability to ask listener questions for our patron mailbag series that goes on every Saturday after our main show. So there you go, guys. Patreon.com/BWO if you want to get in there. And Ian, I have to tell you guys, I'm exhausted. For those of you that aren't aware, I work in enterprise tech and high tech, and I'm in London for a big trade show, and we introduced a live stream today. I've live streamed for 6 hours straight already, all day today. My voice is gone. I'm tired, but Ian's going to drive us through Raw today. So,
luckily, it's a cool 5:30 over here in Los Angeles. I've had a ton of coffee and I'm feeling great. So don't worry, Nick. I'll pick up the slack. Also, I'm not in a hotel room at 1:30 in the morning, and my neighbor's gone, so I can be as loud as I want.
Well, I don't
and
know
I'll
if I
pick
have
up
neighbors, but they probably know I'm up by now.
Oh, they'll know. They'll know real quick. You'll know real quick if you have neighbors. We hear a on the door,
Right.
we'll know they're there.
That would be fun for the stream because it's right there and you guys will get to see it all. So content is king, right?
So this is why you need to check us out on YouTube, because you can watch Nick get dragged away by the hotel staff when they find out that he's too loud at 1:30 in the morning in London. But Nick, we do need to get into this show so that so that you can get to bed and stop bothering your neighbors, but also because there's a lot of stuff I really want to talk about. So let's get into it and talk about Monday Night Raw. Randy Orton. Oh, Randy. Well, remember last week, Nick, we ended the show with Randy Orton laying out Edge, I think is a kind way of putting it. Absolutely murderizing him, much of the shock, horror, and disgust of those in the audience, in attendance, and those at home as well. This week, he came out the top of the show after they showed a pretty awesome video package of what he did last week, and was allowed to explain his actions. And it was kind of promoted all week. Randy Orton will explain his actions. Why? Why did he turn on Edge, his buddy in the tag team rated RKO, his old friend, his road buddy? Why did he turn on? Why would you do this, Randy Orton?
And he did so in about like 20 words, and just it was more of the Randy emoting that we got last week. And just when you thought you were tired of Randy Orton, he goes and does something like this and totally redeems himself, because the stuff last week and the stuff this week was holy smokes good. Like all the feels.
The cliche is a motivated Randy Orton is a good Randy Orton. He's obviously motivated as hell by this upcoming feud with Edge. But here's the really big question, Nick. Is this opening segment was about 14 minutes long, and most of it was Randy standing in the ring, soaking up heat from the crowd, everyone booing the hell out of him. Every time he tries to talk, they boo him down. As you say, emoting, looking like he's conflicted, trying to say something, not being able to, and finally throwing down the mic and just saying, I can't do this, throwing the mic down and walking out the side of the ring. So a whole lot for not a lot. And one of the criticisms that was leveled at this was that it really didn't play to the home audience, the live audience, who, by the way, I got to shout out right now, props to every single person who was in attendance in that arena, because Salt Lake City was in the middle of an absolutely historic snowstorm at the time. And I think obviously they still are. But the governor was going to shut down roads. They thought that it might not even happen this Raw. And that Raw was one of the more full ones I've seen in recent memory. And everyone there was obviously there to have a good time and was live for pretty much most of the show. So props to that crowd for showing up in Salt Lake City through some nasty conditions. And they let Randy have it, but they ate this up because they were ready to boo this guy after last week. Sitting at home, I did at a certain point get a little bit antsy. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
How was it watching it for you? Like, were you like, get on with it, or did it play the entire time for you?
So, I mean, it's the fast food stuff, but if you sit back and just eat your popcorn and just enjoy the spectacle and the show, it's magnificent. This is the kind of stuff we want in our wrestling, guys. This is the kind of stuff that we've missed, the long-term storytelling. As much as everybody shits all over Corbin and Reigns, it's a long-term thing that we've had going, and it's come in ebbs and flows and everything, but we're getting – and how good is Raw recently, right? It has to do with some of the long-form storytelling we're getting. Sorry, I'm tired. Sasha Banks.
Come on,
I'm
Sasha.
gonna be Sasha tonight.
That's okay.
But this is the kind of stuff I want in my wrestling. I want this kind of stuff. I don't want to be just fast food match, and those are fine here and there, and we got some of those tonight too. But at the same time, I love this. This is the kind of stuff that I want 2, maybe 3 main storylines to go on for weeks and months at a time, and to circle back around. And this is like 10 years of history coming back full circle all of a sudden. Hell yes. Yeah. I loved this. So if you were impatient about this, that you probably aren't familiar with the loving history of Randy Orton and Edge in the Rated RKO tag team. But man, it's after last week, he doubled down. Like this was, yeah.
But he didn't do anything. That's kind of my point. Is like nothing. There was no advancement to this.
But it was a continuation of his.
We know
emoting.
He's conflicted.
It was a continuation of his emoting from at the close of last week's Raw. So just continue to eat that up.
but we're at the same state that we were then, where we know he's conflicted in some way. We don't know why. And that's, I think, more my point is nothing advanced. All we did was get to boo Randy Orton for 14 minutes.
I mean, if that's the one thing you want to dial in on, I mean, sure. But I still enjoy it.
That's really all I was getting at was I think it was the right decision. I like that they're slow playing this. They give us a reason to come back and watch it next time. I understand why certain people were complaining that nothing happened here for 14 minutes. And it was just a whole bunch of Randy Orton, as you say, emoting. But I think there's a theme with this Raw and with Raws lately, and that is give a little bit of advancement and leave some stuff open-ended so we're curious where it's going next week, and will make us want to come back. I want to come back next week because maybe Randy we'll find out more about Randy next week. Yeah. There's other storylines that we'll talk about in a second that happen on Raw, where next week I want to come back and be like, okay, well, what happens now? What happens next with this? And that's something that, last week I think we got asked a question, why is Raw doing better than SmackDown right now? That's one style that's happening with Raw, where they leave open-ended elements to these stories, and you go, okay, what happens next?
Yeah.
So this is a great example of that.
The other thing I'm going to call out here real quick is that last week we went off the air with Randy Orton emoting and basically walking out of the ring as people were coming to Edge. An exclusive that we got on WWE.com was the video, the aftermath of that, with Edge getting loaded onto the stretcher and the backboard, taken to the ambulance. And there was this moment when I was watching that the next day going, I don't know if I want to be watching this right now, because I immediately connected with what if this really happened? And I actually got, and I think that was the whole point. I got worked hard.
Absolutely.
So of course they opened this week's Raw with that same exclusive video package, the After Effects Live, and it worked again. And the whole time, that amped it up for me as well. So I think playing that video package that a lot of people might not have seen after last week's Raw to kick this one off was like a continuation of the story from last week. Like we picked up right where we left off.
Exactly.
And I thought it was brilliant.
And they showed stuff we may not have seen last week. As I said, that video package was great, focusing on Edge's twitching hands and some of the other superstars backstage. R-Truth had a great line where he goes, I thought they were friends. Like, it was a bunch of really good stuff. So yeah,
Curtis Axel was back there, had an Edge T-shirt on already. That they had just been out like for 5 minutes, and he's already got one on. So yeah, it's lots of good stuff.
Can't blame the man.
Yeah,
can't blame the man. What was Curtis Axel doing when Edge was had to retire? So
his losing streak was starting, I believe.
That was, yeah. So it's. I agree. I think that if you get emotionally invested in this segment, it worked. If you're not, it dragged a little bit, but I'm 100% there with this. Bring it on. Give me more. I'm also loving another top feud, which is the Viking Raiders and Kevin Owens versus AOP, Buddy Murphy, which we had in a 6-man tag team elimination match. Of course, Seth Rollins standing on the outside. Samoa Joe not there because he was quote unquote injured a week or two ago on Raw doing a dive. There's now speculation he may have violated the wellness policy. It's really, really loose speculation at this point, so please take that with a huge grain of salt.
Okay.
But it would explain why that injury angle seemed a little worked to me. But I rather hope that it's I actually almost kind of hope that it's just a lame wellness policy violation thing. And he's back in a month as opposed to a genuine injury, because Joe gets injured enough. We don't need another one on his record. But now Kevin Owens does not have his running buddy. He's got a team with the Viking Raiders, and they got taken out pretty quickly by some skullduggery by Seth Rollins. And ended up Kevin Owens alone versus Buddy Murphy and the AOP. He ended up getting it down to just Razor when Seth Rollins got involved again, and Razor clotheslined the absolute hell out of Owens, and then double what do you do? Double slammed him to the ground, and that was it. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens loses here. So real quick before we move on to the next element of this feud, which they did a good job of spreading out through the entire show. Mm-hmm. What do you first of all, what do you think about Razor getting except for distraction, a fairly clean pin on Kevin Owens here? And 2, what do you think's the ultimate plan now that Joe is injured? Is it going to be Like, are they? I mean, is this good for the Viking Raiders in a sense, or how do you think this is going to work?
Yeah, I think the Viking Raiders challenge for the titles, and we end up with Viking Raiders AOP at Mania for the Raw Tag Championships. That's the big bullet that I see. How we get there, I haven't figured out yet. And Joe going out injured is a huge anomaly in all of that. So we'll see what happens, but it's a lot of hurry up and wait right now because, I mean, we got a long way to go to Mania. It seems like it's going to be here next week before we know it, seemingly. But we got a long way to go. We got a couple of pay-per-views to get through. Who knows how these titles can change hands? They changed hands on TV when they put them on Seth and Buddy. So, I mean, who knows what could happen as we go through this. With Samoa Joe out of the picture, that makes me think they might fast-track the getting him back off of Seth and Buddy and putting him on the Raiders so that AOP can challenge for him. And that's how, it... I just don't see who's going to challenge. You're going to have Viking.
Wishful thinking. Thinking.
Oh God, find me somebody that wouldn't like to see War Machine versus AOP at WrestleMania.
I think a lot of people wouldn't.
Everybody.
And that's why no, I think I don't. You do because you know them from a ways back and you like them. But like a lot of people who have not watched them come up or haven't seen War Raiders in Japan, they don't know. They've got WWE main roster has to build this on their own, and right now it's not there yet, and that's why they put the titles on Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins.
Right.
So I mean, I get their logic of putting it on them. They want to have Seth have something around his waist to give him some sort of power when he goes out there and speaks. So it makes sense to me. Well, you can still have Viking Raiders and AOP without the titles, and the fact that we're still kind of getting that is pretty cool.
It is.
They're finding a way to get it all in there.
I'm not complaining at all, but you asked me what they were going to do if the titles are going to make if it's going to make a difference with Joe going out, and I mean I think it's what they should have done in the first place. Look at what they're doing with Roman over on SmackDown.
And you're diving off the deep end though. You're like, oh well Joe's gone. Oh, they can put the titles back on the Viking Raiders and have AOP fight for him now. Sure. It's great. I'm like, what? How? What? No, that I think the trajectory is still going to remain the same. It's just Viking Raiders are going to get more TV now.
What did we talk about last week? Fail fast, right?
That's not failed at all.
I think putting him on Seth and Buddy was a huge failure.
You think WWE doesn't think that. Vince doesn't think that. So why are you suddenly predicting it's going to be different? Look at this. Look at this realistically. It's not a failure by any stretch yet. This is exactly why Vince put it on him, was to give him strength. It still looks like Seth is strong. It elevates Buddy Murphy. And you can still have AOP look like the big, strong thugs by beating Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
Razor beat Kevin Owens, even though there was a little bit of distraction. AOP still looks strong here. And I'm just saying, I think it's good for Viking Raiders because they're going to get on TV more because Kevin Owens is going to need backup.
Yep.
So from that sense, it's good for Viking Raiders. But don't go off the deep end and suddenly say, oh, they're going to have the tag titles go back down to between AOP and Viking Raiders. I would love that as well, but I don't think it's realistic.
Well,
I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's not the deepest of the deep ends I've gone off of. So.
Oh no, that's like the 3 foot deep. That's like the kiddie deep end. You know what I mean?
It's plausible.
It's right. It still could feasibly happen.
Right.
Yes, it's not. It's not the Mariana Trench that you've been down into a couple of times.
Exactly.
But this wasn't all for these guys. We also had a main event of the evening, which was Brock Lesnar apparently needs to have some sort of challenger at Super Showdown. I don't know. We just had a whole Royal Rumble so someone could face him at WrestleMania. I guess it was just for the title shot at WrestleMania. So whatever. But still, we had a
just
three-way
that little
match.
thing.
Right. We had a 3-way match. 3 guys apparently were randomly picked to possibly face Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia at Super Showdown. And those 3 people randomly were Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Ricochet. Because why not? If you're looking at this from the outside in, there was no one it made more sense to go to than Ricochet here, because Ricochet recently is, I think, the only other guy on the roster who had beef with Brock Lesnar. They kicked each other in the ghoulies on alternating shows. Ricochet took his from Brock on the Raw before Royal Rumble and then gave it right back at the Royal Rumble, kicked Brock in the ghoulies, and that's what allowed Drew McIntyre to claymore Brock Lesnar out of the ring and cost me my championship hopes at our Pick'ems challenge. But that's beside the point. This was actually a really fun match, and during it we had interference from AOP and Buddy Murphy at first, and then Kevin Owens and Viking Raiders came out to avenge their loss and chased everyone off. So it was back down to Seth Rollins, Lashley, and Ricochet. And by God, Nick, Ricochet pinned Bobby Lashley clean as a whistle. and Ricochet is going to be going on to face Brock Lesnar at Super Showdown. That part's not a surprise, but watching Ricochet pin Bobby Lashley was certainly, it felt good. Felt good.
It does. I'm scared though. Brock works stiff. We know Ricochet can take a punch and take a licking. We've seen him do it. We're not worried about it.
I'm not worried about that.
But are we burying Ricochet as part of this, feeding him to Brock, so to speak, as we've seen done so many times at this point? And my heart of hearts wants to say no, that this is a real opportunity. But we all know that ultimately it's going to end up being Drew McIntyre at Mania. So is this just an intermediary fluff for the time being for the Saudi oil money show?
It's spectacle for the blood money show, and that's pretty much all it is. I will say this. If you're inside that system, getting a match with Brock is definitely an accolade. Like, you're getting to go up against our top guy. Yes, you're not going to win the title, but you're getting a one-on-one match with him. And that is not something everyone gets. Samoa Joe got it. Braun Strowman got it. AJ Styles got it. Daniel Bryan got it. Like top Finn Balor. Top guys get that ability. So from that sense, for Ricochet, I know that afterwards he kind of got torn apart on Twitter because he was saying, yay, I'm going to face Brock. And everyone's kind of like, you're going to lose to Brock. We don't care. And he was like, come on, guys. Can't we be excited about this a little bit? And, people came back at him saying, no, dude, we have no faith in the product. So why should we be excited about this?
Right.
But I see him as being genuinely excited. And honestly, Ricochet the wrestler, I can understand why he's excited about this. He's main eventing a pay-per-view with Brock Lesnar. For him, that's a big deal, and that's pretty cool.
For me, that's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Sure. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm happy for him. We're happy for him. We love Rick. We go back with Ricochet as fans here in Los Angeles. But unfortunately, as viewers, they're not going to get excited about this because we all know it's going to be Brock dominating. Ricochet has a bit of an underdog comeback, and then one F5 squash and done.
Yep.
That's just how it's going to be. And if it's anything but that, we'll be surprised. But Ricochet ain't winning this match.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
Especially, the title's going to change hands in Saudi Arabia. You're going to
WrestleMania where we're having Drew McIntyre versus no, it's not going to happen.
No.
It ain't going to happen. No. So that on that sense, it's a little underwhelming. But conversely, I'm really happy for Ricochet. But unfortunately, like you said, I wonder how this is going to help him at all. This is going to is not going to advance him to get beaten by Brock. I know it's exciting in the moment to have a main event with a guy like Brock, but ultimately, what is this going to do for him? He's going to be another dead piece of roadkill behind Brock's Hummer, as he's running over him on the I-5. I'm Sasha Banks, and now too. Look at me, man. I'm catching whatever you got.
Too much coffee.
Yeah, I think that might be it. So that's one aspect of this. The other aspect is, and this is something that was pointed out in the discussion group, is Ricochet a bad promo, or is he being coached to be too earnest of a babyface? Because that backstage promo that he had earlier in the show, everyone got a promo. Lashley and Ricochet got backstage promos. Seth got an in-ring promo. Ricochet's was very much like, gee, golly willikers, I'm just happy to be here, and we've seen him cut fierce promos. We know he can be like, yeah, I'm going to go out there and kick some butt. We know he can do that. So to me, this really felt like he was being coached to be kind of like, gee, golly willikers, I really hope that I do good today, boss.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did you get that from him as well?
No, I got that totally. It was, him playing that plucky underdog superhero figure that all the kids are going to look up to and be like, go get him, Tiger.
Right. The problem is if Spider-Man continually got his ass kicked by the Green Goblin, we probably wouldn't want to root for Spider-Man as much.
He kind of did.
But he eventually beats him.
Well, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, ultimately he gets the win. I don't see Ricochet ultimately getting any vindication on this, though. No. He's ultimately not going to beat the bad guy. Someone else, Superman's going to come along, Drew's going to come along and beat Brock, and Spider-Man's going to be on the sideline being like, well, I had my shot.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I'm not as good as you, Drew.
Love you, Rick. You're not winning the title. Sorry, man.
Yeah. So I'm happy for him, and also at the same time, kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Kind of bummed. But speaking of Drew McIntyre, he came out. I've got to say, dude, I'm so relieved to have him be back to being a face after not seeing it on the main roster. He's back to being like the guy that was in NXT, just a big, strong leader of the brand, like guy who can just totally like just charismatic with the crowd. You know, turn in the middle of a promo and just be like, "Hey, by the way, everybody, thanks for being here tonight. I know you had to get through some snow to be." Sorry, I'm saying this in a Phil
Tip your
Hartman
bartenders and your wait staff on the way out. If you
Yeah,
wouldn't mind.
I don't know why Drew just turned into Phil Hartman there. It was, it's more like the Scottish side. All right, it's great that you're all here tonight. Thank you very much. Here watching me kick the head off of Mojo Rawley. Which he did, by the way. He said, "I'm gonna as soon as I drop this mic, 3 seconds, then I'll kick your head off with a claymore. I'll claymore your head off." And he did. He did exactly that. He basically, Mojo Rawley standing there looking all cocky, and Drew puts down the mic. 1, 2, 3, boom. Mojo Rawley. 1, 2, 3 for the pin. And Drew stands tall. So, Nick, I know you're with me on this. We like face Drew. We love that he's finally getting that massive, unbelievable push after all this time of us saying he's blue chip. He is the man. He should be the future man. But is this a little bit too much like, lol, Drew wins? He's squashing dudes that like right and left. Is he now looking, is it too much? Is this going to backfire?
No, because I think you can't come out of the gate so hot as, like I say at the top of the show, we've got 3 months to go. Let's pace it out a little bit. If he wants to go beat up Mojo Rawley and, make a spectacle of him with his, I think what it is they're trying to get the 3-2-1 thing over. And this was an easy way to try and do that with his promo. So, yeah, more of that is fine with me. It's, everybody's going to go, Drew's amazing. 3, 2, 1. And we're all going to laugh, and we're going to start counting. And 3 months from now, when he does it to Brock 2 or 3 times, we're all going to be doing it.
And it's going to feel really good.
Yep.
Honestly, I think that's the big payoff. Like we said last week, is the 3-2-1 thing is a little goofy now. But it... Honestly, it's going to catch on the way that Burn It Down did.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, so wasn't Burn It Down a year ago,
Yeah, and it's going to work. And again, I think one thing that works about Drew that didn't work about Cena, didn't work about Reigns, is that just kind of casual affability with the crowd. It doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel forced. Doesn't feel plastic. It feels like he's genuinely happy to be where he is. He has genuinely done the work.
Yeah.
He was told he was going to be the future and then was fired and told to go, fix his ish and then come back. And he did.
Boy, did he.
He went and grew up and became a man and came back. And then they were like, cool, you're going to sit in limbo you're going to be big in NXT, but then you're going to sit in limbo on the main roster for a while. And he said, cool, I will. And he did.
The funny part about this that I always think about is, had Drew not torn his bicep and dropped the title to Andrade, where would we be right now 2 years after that? Was Drew on that fast track to come up, and was this the plan for Drew when he did drop the title in the NXT Championship to Andrade 2 years ago? I don't know. Maybe they had this on hold.
Room for him, but there wasn't room for him then, and then no more than when he finally did come up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. It was definitely something where they just had to keep him orbiting until the Seth Rollins experiment fell apart because, Seth couldn't keep his natural personality off of Twitter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that opened up we look back on this. We're going to look back on these years as saying, the Roman experiment derailed because Vince pushed it too hard, and then ultimately worked out because of the leukemia diagnosis. But then he couldn't push Roman anymore because he's worried about him being sick. So they had to push Seth. They didn't push Braun for whatever reason. They didn't make him the top guy. And then the Seth thing failed. And so then it was time for Drew. And ultimately it's going to look like, well, crap. It took a while, but we got there. The sad thing is if you look at, this is something that popped up in my feed this week, and it made me kind of think, was after Royal Rumble 2015. That was probably one of the biggest backlashes to WWE of the decade. was the outcome of WrestleMania 15, of Royal Rumble 15.
Yep.
The huge backlash, putting Roman over the way that they did. And a lot of people were, we're going to cancel the network. We're going to stop watching. And Vince said, they'll be back. Their ratings have halved on average since then. And they've, they dropped, overall viewing is down 65%, or down 35% to, it is 65% of what it was. So they've had an enormous drop off since then because people were unhappy with the product because of a lot of those choices. So it's going to be hard to say that, there's an easy through line like, this was the plan all along. This wasn't. Yeah. This came about because of happenstance. They tried other things. They didn't work out. And so now they're left with Drew. Luckily, I think that at this time with this scenario, he is the right guy. Whether or not he can bring it back and get viewers back, I don't know. That's going to depend entirely on how they handle him. His everything that he has going for him, all of his tools, all of his abilities, he's absolutely able to do that. It's a matter of if they let him.
That's a great way to say it. Absolutely. And I think they're going to. I think
so far so good.
So far so good. And I think let's pace this out. Skeptically optimistic, not even skeptically. Like I'm all in on Drew. Like I was all in on Drew for the Rumble, and I'm already all in on him winning the title off of Brock at WrestleMania.
I'm all in on Drew, but I'm already starting to get worried about them having him beat legit tag teams 2-on-1 and crushing guys like Mojo this way. Like I'm already like, don't have him be too much of a squasher.
Yeah.
Like keep him. I know that Brock has now been elevated to this sort of super realistic point where he's just, S tier out of the stratosphere. But I know you have to build Drew to the point where you can make people believe that he could take Brock out. But don't do it too hard. That's been the problem.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the one thing I'm kind of getting nervous about, seeing him decimate Mojo like this and do it in a humiliating way where he literally calls his shot and does it. So that's the one thing that made me go, about this. It's like, don't screw up the Drew. You guys have it right now.
I don't think it's screwing up the Drew. I think it's
not yet. I'm saying it could if they keep doing this kind of thing.
They've elevated Mojo Rawley from catering to R-Truth status by putting him on the belt and having him with a sort of jobber's entrance and just being in the ring when we come back from commercial, all of that stuff. And having him come out and just take a lick from Drew McIntyre like this. It's the same kind of stuff we would see, those other lower mid-card guys would do. So I'm not too terribly mad at this. I mean, you see these kind of squashes all the time, and if you think about it in the meta sense, Mojo's not a small dude. It's not like he's some little squishy jobber out there. So it elevates Drew to even be that much stronger, that much bigger, because he's putting down Mojo Rawley.
I've stood next to Riddick Moss, and he's huge, and he looks tiny next to Mojo Rawley. Yeah. So that gives you an idea,
right? So I like it. I like the fact that Mojo's getting the title, where he's getting some TV time, and we're getting to see Drew squash somebody. But it's not just somebody; it's a big ass ex-defensive end, kind of dude, right? So I was okay with this. I'm not too terribly bent out of shape about this. I'm not bailing water yet on Drew.
So you're saying you have no problem with a grown man taking a licking from a sexy Scotsman?
I don't.
All right. I like it. Moving on, we also had the queen herself, Charlotte, came out to once again tease that she might have an opponent at WrestleMania. Basically come out to say, I'm probably not going to choose anybody just yet. The crowd started chanting Rhea Ripley, and kind of, I think in the back they kind of went, shit, they're on to us.
Yep.
And sure enough, out came Rhea Ripley. As we said here on the show, we said this was likely what was going to happen because nothing else made sense. And by God, they just went right for it. Rhea Ripley came out and said, you've never beaten me. In fact, you know what, Charlotte? I've beaten you. So if you're going to challenge a champion, maybe challenge one that you haven't beaten. And Charlotte just kind of looked at her and just, queened on past her and left. And hit her music. She walked up the top of the ramp, gave one woo, and took off. And Rhea was just standing there with her weird new contact lenses, making her eyes look yellow, and held up her belt. And that was that. And we got the announcement later in the show that Charlotte will be down on NXT TV to respond this week. So, Nick, it's now looking like it's fait accompli.
Ooh.
We're going to get Charlotte and Rhea at WrestleMania. It's pretty much, at this point, I'm safe with saying it's pretty much done. It's a done deal.
Oh, totally. The question becomes, are they actually going to put the NXT Women's Championship, or sorry, just the NXT Championship on Charlotte Flair and have her go back down a la Finn Balor? That would not suck.
Dude, how much do they want to make NXT a true third brand? If you have Charlotte as the champ in NXT, she is one of the most popular female wrestlers, if not, whatever controversy aside, people, she gets too many wins, whatever. She is a huge figure in WWE. Obviously, Becky, I think, higher at this point, but nevertheless, Charlotte is a massive figure. If she goes down to NXT as well, that is an enormous boost for that brand and a big sign that they really do want to go all in with making NXT a full third brand. And I say that only because I don't at this point in her career see Charlotte putting over Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I can't see that at this point.
I could see it getting elevated into some kind of triple threat. And so where both of them end up staying strong, Rhea retains, and it becomes a feud of sorts, and Charlotte ends up still going to continue to pursue it.
I think that would be a bit of an underwhelming finish after this build.
Well,
but
we saw it last year happen where they threw Charlotte into the man versus Ronda Rousey. So
and everyone hated it.
And we
everyone
all
was like,
effing hated it. So
yeah,
that doesn't mean they're not going to do it again. My point being is, like last week, like I was calling out that Raw is crowded because we've got both Becky and Charlotte. Why did we put Charlotte over on Raw with Becky? She can't carry a brand like, or Bayley can't carry a brand like Charlotte or Becky could.
Agreed with that.
Remember we were talking about that. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, Shayna's not gone, but gone. We've got Rhea down there now.
Well, I got thoughts on that one. We'll get to that when we talk about the another segment coming up here.
That's where I was going with the triple threat thing. So stay tuned on that one. We'll see.
Okay, well let's talk about another part of the women's division first. Then let's talk about Lana versus Liv Morgan 2, which was the second thing that happened on the show after the Randy Orton thing. And I mean, as soon as it started, Lana came out, and then Liv Morgan came out to Lana's entrance for some reason. They had a few technical problems on the show, and you know what? It was a blizzard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna allow it on this one. But just right off the bat, I'm like, oh God, Lana versus Liv to kill me.
But wait,
and sure enough,
there's more.
It was a quick match. Lana feigned an injury and then had a little bit of a Healy comeback before Liv gave her the flatliner, and it was done. And all right, quick and out, great. And then Ruby Riott came out. Boom. Ruby Riott's music hit, and Ruby Riott is back now with green hair, which I'm not as much of a big fan of. I love the red hair, but hey, whatever. She's back, and I'm super excited about that because Ruby Riott is fan-goddamn-tastic.
I was for about 3 seconds.
And then she got in the ring, and instead of embracing Liv, she put her to the floor, beat the crap out of her, and left the pickings for Lana, who then beat up Liv some more. And now Ruby Riott is still heel, and looks like we're going to be getting some sort of feud with her and Liv. Now, you're shaking your head, Nick. What do you not like about this?
Nothing right. Nothing yet.
What the what?
Well, okay. What do I not like about this?
What you were
the one way you brought Ruby Riott back was to embroil her in the middle of the Lana Lashley stuff.
Do you think that that's what this is, or are they splitting off Liv from that feud now, and we're going to go into Liv versus Ruby and a feud that could elevate both women potentially?
Sure, that I'm down with if that's what we end up doing. But Lana needs to get the F away from this. Like,
agreed.
The whole Lana Lashley Rusev thing needs to be done. I'm just waiting for Rusev to come back and for those two to end up getting back together somehow. Like it's inevitably going to happen.
Reports are they're pretty much done with it, and Rusev, they got nothing for him right now. So
Great. Fantastic.
That
so glad we put him through that shit again.
So glad we did all of that.
Roo-roo.
But Roo, where hast thou gone, Roo? But if this does end up being Ruby and Liv in their own feud, I'm down with great. If Lana is the third wheel in that, I'm going to be a little bit gripey because I don't know that she adds anything to it other than being a loudmouth, annoying heel, which is a role, and that could end up being another element to this, as long as ultimately it does help make Ruby and Liv look better. That's all I care about, because both of those women are great performers, and they need more good performers in their women's division that we can believe in and back. Not like, Carmella's who no one really believes in, or Alexa's who are kind of falling off and off on the sidelines, like not really being, or Mandy and Sonya, who they never really were able to get off the ground. So yeah, if they can do something good with Ruby and Liv here, hell yes. Heel Ruby. People are wanting to get behind Liv. You can hear that whenever she comes out. People want to be behind Liv. They're bummed at her. Like, she came back not in a way that anybody really wanted. It was kind of lame. They're just kind of dusting that under the carpet right now and going like, okay, it's just Liv Morgan. She just doesn't have pink hair and she's wearing like the Black Cat outfit now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh, okay. What was all of that?
My biggest fear is that Ruby somehow aligns with Lana.
Yeah, that would suck. But then who does Liv go get?
I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, what if Ruby comes out and goes, no, Liv is mine, not yours, Lana, and it turns into some three-way thing.
Nick!
I'm so sorry. I forgot that they listen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to come out that way. Please don't do that, creative.
No. Nick, opened your mouth and poop came out. So I just hope that the crowd bites on this. I feel like people are starting to get behind Liv. I just hope people bite on this, because that's really all that's going to matter. Like, Vince isn't going to do this if people don't care about it.
Right.
So everyone, if you're listening to this and you're going to a live show, please cheer this on. Try to get this working.
Okay.
Please. Still in the women's division, Natalya versus Asuka. Man, I love being reminded that Natalya's a good worker, and her and Asuka always does that to me. That looked great. This was just a bunch of fantastic mat grappling. No real stakes, but they got the crowd into it by the end, and they were working nice and stiff, a little too stiff. Asuka kicked Natty in the face, gave her a black eye, big mouse by the end of the match.
Good.
What do you mean good?
What's your cat ears going to do for that now?
Jesus Christ, man. Not a fan of Natty over there in London, is Mr. Nick.
No.
Did you enjoy this at all, Nick, or you just were like, don't like Natty?
I mean, it feels below Asuka at this point a little bit, but I understand that it's to get Becky and Asuka back at each other. It looks like we're going to get more Becky and Asuka, which I'm not mad at.
Well, this ended with Natalya eating a pin. She tapped out to the Asuka lock.
Good to see her using that again.
Yes. And then Becky came out with her Deal With It sunglasses. She literally had sunglasses painted to look like the GIF, the Deal With It GIF, and came out, and Asuka screaming and yelling about, in Japanese at first and then in English, I want a rematch with Becky. And Becky came out and was like, you know what? The last time I beat you, it made me feel great. Feel like it gave me superpowers. Yeah, you want a rematch? Sure, let's do it. Yeah. Cool, no problem. Kyrie tried to jump her from the back. She's like, no, I see you. Kicked the crap out of her. Put the Deal With It sunglasses back on and walked away. While Asuka was in the ring, kind of feeling angry about the whole thing. Next week, we're getting Becky versus Asuka again.
Is Asuka still as powerful now that we've seen Becky defeat the Mist? I don't want to say but defeat the Mist, like figure out a way around it. Is Asuka? Does that take away from Asuka's likeliness to win, or is it just all about finding the better moment to mist her? Because that feels like the finishing move now of Asuka, not the backpack lock, the Asuka lock.
Well, I feel like the mist is secondary here. I think there's something else afoot. I don't think they would have this rematch so soon on a non-pay-per-view if there wasn't something else going on. I'd like to hope that, Nick. I really hope next week we don't get to the show and it's just Becky beats Asuka again and that's that, and there's nothing else that comes of it, because that would suck. But if it's Becky has a match with Asuka and before the match concludes, Shayna Baszler comes out and chokes out Becky or something like that where it sets up her next feud, then you have my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And Asuka can move on to something else or not. Or there can be something else afoot where Asuka and Becky aren't done yet, which I would be down with as well because they've established that they're good in the ring together. And I wouldn't be mad at their feud continuing.
No,
to be honest with you, as long as there was some sort of advancement, something else has to happen here. Some other way to put Becky in jeopardy with Asuka and keep Asuka looking dangerous. It was great that they had this match with Natty where she looked genuinely dangerous because they needed to reestablish that. And honestly, I thought they did a great job with this match of doing that. Asuka looked dangerous in this match. Natty looked game. She looked as good as she has looked in a while because she was in there working with someone who can work technically and get on the mat and grapple with her and look crisp and look sharp, and it was good. And it made both of them look better by doing that kind of match. It made Asuka look more dangerous. It made Natty look capable, and then it made Asuka look better for being able to beat a capable Natty.
Yeah.
And then when Becky comes out and says, "Psst, I got your number now," it's all intriguing. So all of that really worked together in terms of building all of these different parts. The only person I felt who's left out in the cold a little bit was Kyrie. Kyrie's kind of out in the cold in this whole thing.
That's okay,
but she has been.
You know,
is it?
I'm okay.
Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with it for now. We don't have. I mean, they put out something today that they crested the Iconics for the longest tag team champions.
Yeah, 121 days.
Like 120 days, like 4 months,
121.
Right?
Yeah.
So great, congratulations. You know, and they'll probably hold on to him because there's you got Bliss and Cross,
4 defenses,
Fire and Desire, and are the Iconics going to come back and challenge for him at Mania? Who knows where the Iconics are? I wish I knew. I love the Iconics. Why aren't we seeing them on TV? Why aren't they coming back and challenging so that Asuka can go off and challenge Becky for the Raw Women's Championship? There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense around this, and I mean, if you get closer to Mania and somehow Shayna gets inserted into this, who knows? So I don't know.
I'm hoping for a swerve next week. I'm hoping for something to happen with this match. Like this, not just a straight up rematch. Something happens.
Yeah,
and it knocks Becky off of her pedestal a little bit, puts her more in danger again. You know, I don't mind. I thought the glasses were fun, but you're in danger of making Becky look overconfident and goofy, but you know, I'm not criticizing it yet because it was fun and I like having a little bit. I like allowing their top performers to show a little bit of humor, humanity, other aspects to their character besides just I'm a badass, right? That's fun. So
yeah,
but it's not too much.
No.
A couple other things on Raw that you may not have seen, Nick, if you just watched the Hulu, but there was a fan-frickin-tastic match between Rey. Well, it was supposed to be with Humberto Carrillo, but ended up being Rey Mysterio versus Angel Garza. Angel Garza has shown up on the main roster to seduce all of your women. That's right. Look out, everybody.
Put it in my eye holes.
Put your mother away.
All these guys. Holy smokes.
Hide your sisters. Hide your mothers. Hide your grandmothers.
So
Angel Garza is here.
Is this basically just a hot shot to cover Andrade being out for his wellness policy violation?
That's the rumor. That's basically the speculation that's going on is they needed to continue this feud with everybody here, and it just made sense to bring up Humberto Carrillo's cousin, Angel Garza. They automatically had a storyline. They did that. They established that. Carrillo's in the ring waiting for a match. Out comes Alina to say, hey, look who I brought. Your freaking cousin. And Angel gets in the ring and says, I'm the leader of this family. You're a disgrace. You suck, and I'm going to beat your ass and show you. And he gave him a wing clipper and then took him outside and gave him a hammerlock DDT on exposed concrete.
What's with the DDTs on exposed concrete?
And then Rey Mysterio came out for the save, and then we had a match between Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza, which ended when Angel Garza hammerlock DDT'd Rey on the concrete as well and caused the DQ. So it is looking like Angel's going to be up for a few weeks, at least to cover for Andrade while he's out. And frankly, there's a lot that's good about this. Mm-hmm. One, I love the fact that we've established there's this whole. I mean, we called this out when they first drafted all these guys to Raw, that you have a whole Latino division. You could have work together. Rey Mysterio is going to be sitting there going, I want to put all these guys over and make these guys a big deal. That's just what Rey does. And that's exactly how it's playing out, is we're having an ongoing storyline involving the U.S. title, no less, where we're bringing in families now. They should bring that in more, Nick, is bringing the family aspect of it. I would love to bring that out. Be like, hey, there's history with these luchador families. There's both within the families and between the families. Like, just bring that all out. My only question, Nick, is do you feel the crowd didn't connect to it because of where they were or how they've built the individual characters here? Or why wasn't the crowd 100% behind this and chanting what a lot through this? Why do you think that was?
Well, maybe they don't know who he is, but I mean, just first and foremost, Garza Dong has ascended to the main roster. Let's all sit back and relish in that for a moment. He's been on NXT for like 6 weeks, and he's all of a sudden now he's a superstar.
He has been erected to the main roster now.
I didn't say that, you did, but
what I said?
We just saw Angel Garza rip his pants off and wing clip on the main roster. That's a big effing deal. That's how high they are on that guy right now.
And this is what I'm hearing is that
this
is, but it's temporary, is what I'm hearing. Is this is just to cover Andrade, and then he'll go away again, back down to NXT. My addendum to that is, unless he impresses Vince, unless Vince kind of goes, oh no, I like that guy, make him stick around, and which is what I'm hoping for, because Angel Garza and Zelina Vega and Andrade as a faction against, say, Rey Mysterio, Kalisto, or whoever, Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo, and whoever else they can find to stick in that group, whether it's Kalisto or anyone else from Lucha House Party or whoever they find.
That was going to be my second point, is like I see Humberto and Angel Garza getting all this attention, and I feel really bad for Lindsay and Metalik. And I'm sitting over here going,
and Kalisto.
I mean, Kalisto's he's had his moments, right? He's at least had the Cruiserweight Championship, even though it was off of Enzo, whatever, all that stuff, right? But I'm sitting here going, Lindsay Dorado and Metalik are amazing. They've just not been given a chance. I feel like they're getting passed over, and I feel kind of bad for them.
I don't have the WWE schedule in front of me, so I don't know where they're heading to. But regardless of who they plug into this, if you have all of these performers and you run this program in a city like Corpus Christi, Texas, or here in Los Angeles, or anywhere
El Paso or something like that.
Sure,
right?
Anywhere where you're a little bit down closer to a lot of that lucha tradition, and you have these guys screaming at each other in Spanish in the ring, it's going to play like it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be a lot better than, say, in Salt Lake City, where everyone in the crowd was kind of sitting there going, like, what are they saying? What are they saying? What?
Hey guys, do you know it's snowing outside?
Yeah. So yeah, I want this to succeed because I love lucha wrestling, obviously, and I love all of these performers, and I think they have something here. I just hope that they continue this and I want people to connect to this.
Yeah.
Interesting little bit about history here. So Rey Mysterio had a match tonight, February 2020, with Angel Garza. 21 years ago was the last time that Rey Mysterio had a match in Salt Lake City for WWE, and that match was against Angel Garza's uncle, Hector Garza.
That shit writes itself.
Funny little bit of history there. So, one more thing, Nick, on this episode of Raw, and that was Aleister Black had a squash match. He murdered Eric Young.
Well, I was gonna say I got really excited. I'm like, oh my god, Eric Young's back. Oh nope, he's dead.
Oh no, he's enhancement now. He's just enhancement.
Great.
Poor guy.
Long live sanity.
Shortly lived with sanity, unfortunately. But here was the interesting thing was after Aleister dispatched with him, he got out a microphone and cut what I can only describe as an NXT Aleister promo, a little bit like with some of the tropes of the main roster Aleister, like the over enunciating of certain words and pushing certain things home, but it felt a lot more like an Aleister NXT promo. And I got to thinking, if someone backstage let him have a little bit more control over his speech writing or his promos or what, because it definitely felt different than those backstage promos they had him give.
Yeah.
And it would do it injustice to summarize it, but I'm going to try. essentially he said everyone is told they can be anything when they're young, and that's not necessarily true. But I'm going to kick everyone's ass backstage, and when they do, they're going to realize that I'm a guy that was told he could be anything and did it.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, it was a great dude. That crowd was into this promo too. Not only that, he had a light change in the middle of it where, like, he sat down cross-legged at a certain dramatic point, and the lights got dark, and the crowd was down with this. So he just showed he can go out there and do a good promo. And if this was a brass ring moment, then I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie, Nick. This made me hopeful. I don't know if you appreciate it the same way, if you're still skeptically optimistic on it.
I didn't get to see this. This wasn't on the Hulu edition.
It wasn't, which was tragic because it was good. You can see it on YouTube though.
When I watch the Hulu edition, I have to spend the next 3 days going mining for clips of the 500 clips they update after every show, and just watch all of those on YouTube. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and watching this. I've got it DVR'd at home, so I'll probably watch the full show tomorrow when I get home. So
I definitely recommend this part.
Yep.
It took me from being pessimistic about Alistair's future to being past skeptically optimistic and all the way into being optimistic.
Yep.
So all around, very strong Raw show this week. I'm happy to say. Very, very strong. I loved it a lot. So
nice.
How did you feel about it? Given your schedule and what you got to see over there in London, like, what was your overall sense of the show?
It's still kind of hitting on most cylinders. Like, Raw is in this sort of renaissance where it's coming back around. And I want to give credit where credit's due. We spent the better part of 2 years shitting all over everything that was Monday Night Raw. A lot of it because of Roman pushing, and a lot of it because of Brock. But I'm looking at this going, I'm really in, like, 4 months ago, I was even saying on this show, like, I don't know, guys, I'm kind of checking out a little bit. I hate when I feel this way. Now I'm all in on Raw. SmackDown's another conversation. We'll talk about that this weekend, as we have the last couple of weeks. But Raw is kind of firing on most cylinders right now. So I'm still enjoying a lot of this, and they've got some tiny little tweaks to make on the dials. And I think a lot of this is going to get dialed in over the next couple of months as we head towards WrestleMania. So we'll see. I skeptically optimistic as always, but more optimistic than skeptical for sure.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Well, Nick, we've got time for a little bit more, so let's head over and talk about New Japan.
Well, this week, New Beginning left Raleigh and went down to well, I guess they had a stop in Miami as well. In between there, I don't know what time zone I'm in anymore. They had it in Atlanta this week, and we had some surprises again happen at this show. Now, I had some surprises happen in Raleigh. We were skeptical about whether or not they were going to make this new U.S. tour thing that they were working on doing, make it matter, I guess is the word I want to use.
Yeah.
They're making it matter.
They're making it matter. Titles are changing hands. They're making major announcement for upcoming shows. Like they're making it a reason to come to these shows, and also giving you good matches. You had Jeff Cobb and Lance Archer down in Atlanta, and apparently it was a great big man match. And you even saw big man Lance Archer get tossed around in a tour of the islands when Jeff Cobb beat him. So which was a hell of a thing to see, Nick. Jeff Cobb is unfreaking real strong. But you also, the big news from the Atlanta show is poor Finn Juice held the titles for 42 days less?
Yeah, like 2 weeks.
And Guerrillas of Destiny just won them back. Guerrillas of Destiny are your champs again. Why even put them on Finn Juice in the first place? Yeah. Just to have a title change hands at Wrestle Kingdom? Like, what?
Well, it got Juice. What? It got Juice over a little bit. It got him some hype back. He was missing a little bit of that mojo, but now that he's got it back, do we send him back on a course towards the U.S. title to get that back after he lost it? I don't know. We could. He
theoretically,
he looks great with a belt. So
we're currently having someone else holds that belt right now, Nick. He's in a different program. We'll talk about that in a second. But here's the problem. So yes, they're making stuff matter on this tour. You know, tag team titles are changing hands. Marty Scurll is showing up to make announcements. You're getting like the Rock and Roll Express is getting in the ring with Tanahashi. Like it's madness. It's some incredibly good stuff. But overall, this tour was a financial loss for them. So one wonders if they're going to keep doing this if people don't show up.
It's expensive to fly people to the other side of the world.
Yeah. And put them up on the other side of the world and drive them around and put on these shows. And they can't really charge too much for these shows either because they're having them in like armories.
Right.
And, even when they come here to LA and we're paying, $60 to $80 a ticket to go down to the pyramid in Long Beach, even then they can't fill up the pyramid.
Right.
I was down there for the Super Juniors tournament and it was about half full, 3/4 full.
The Raleigh show was only about 3/4 full.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think it's just because people feel like they're not getting a big enough show. And I'm here to tell you, you're getting a big show. Like you're getting a good goddamn wrestling show.
Like if I could have bought one of the lowest tier of tickets were like $35, but those always sell out the fastest. And I still only paid $50. And you guys saw from the videos that I was right next to the entrance ramp.
Yeah, and you got your money's worth. Like you were saying how much fun you had.
It was worth the $50 to get pictures. Oh my God, I touched the ace. Oh my God. Like I'd pay $50 3 times over to like I can now die saying that peacefully that I got to see the ace wrestle and I touched him and I have a picture. Like on my casket, place my picture of me with Tanahashi.
I love it. This is kind of what I'm saying, man, is like, even though like, a lot of them are tag matches, there's not a whole lot of quote unquote big matches. Just because you're not getting Naito Okada doesn't mean you shouldn't go to one of these shows. Like the tag matches can be wildly entertaining. Like if you can go online and see it, Toru Yano and Colt Cabana and their just inability to get tag team wrestling to work for them is just hilarious. At this show especially, where like Yano keeps laying down. I forget who he was. I forget who they were facing. I think it was Robbie Eagles or something like that. He keeps laying him down, and Colt Cabana gets up on the turnbuckle to jump at him, but he's laying down on the other side of the ring. So Cabana's like, no, roll him closer. And Yano's like, no, you can make it. Come on. Like just stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, enough proselytizing about go to the New Japan shows.
Don't gloss over that. It's the Yano and Colt Boom Boom thing that's going on in New Japan right now is one of the best things. It's some of the best comedy wrestling I've ever seen.
Not that you're biased, but I agree. It's fan.
It is fan-freaking-tastic.
It's actually if you have the New Japan subscription, I recommend watching some of these just to see them work together. There's videos of it online too, just like clips of it's fantastic. I got one I'll post in the group later. So here's another big thing. On the road to New Beginning, we're having another New Beginning show this coming Sunday in Osaka. That will be Moxley versus Suzuki to headline. They've been beating the crap out of each other all week, Nick. Every time they see each other, they just stand there and just laugh and hit each other, and it's glorious. Even like backstage, like Suzuki is choking out Moxley and Moxley's like hitting him and then like kissing his forehead and being like, God, I love hating you. Oh. It's just, it's amazing. And they're actually getting their match this coming Sunday. But on the road to that show, we had an elimination match, a tag team elimination match. And at the end of that match, you know how last weekend Zack Sabre Jr. pinned Will Ospreay in their Rev Pro Heavyweight Championship match? And we thought it was done?
Yeah.
Well, Ospreay just got Sabre down to the end of this elimination match and pinned him in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. So he demanded a rematch for that same championship. And he's going to get it at Rev Pro on February 14th in London. We're going to have Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the Rev Pro Heavyweight Championship again. A title that Zack has held, I believe, 3 or 4 times, and Ospreay has never held. So I don't know if you smell what I'm smelling, Nick, but I'm smelling a good match because this last one was great too.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding.
Fun stuff happening in New Japan. Obviously, we're just basically building up for March when we had the New Japan Cup, which I can't wait for as well. But definitely some stuff worth checking out.
Definitely. Well, guys, that is it for the Graps this week. But we're going to head over and talk about what was our moments of positivity. So, Ian, what was your, if you had to pick
my mop,
just one.
What was my mop?
Map. Whenever I hear that, all I think of is Wally, the little map, and he would do the map.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's a fun, happy movie.
Yeah. No, all right. That's my moment of positivity. Then go ahead. I'm just
What
kidding.
is
no? It just makes me happy. The little map, that little
map.
guy.
All right. Well, no. What was your mop of wrestling this week?
Oh, considering I haven't watched too much, I've been a little busy.
The fact that you got to watch it at all, somehow fitting into your schedule, like, oh, that's great. I was able to watch something.
I was able to watch some of the recaps on some of my other favorite YouTube shows, and watch a little bit of the Hulu edition that I could get to load in an alternative viewing source, since I wasn't able to use my own paid stuff over here on the other side of the planet. But if I had to pick one thing, I'm gonna go with the Randy Orton stuff, where he's delivering some next level story. And we're going to see, I mean, the stuff that Edge is selling and the story that Randy is telling, we don't really know why yet, and I think that is what's keeping us all kind of just like leaned in. And it's been a long time since I've felt that way about a story in WWE, where I'm leaning in going, what's going to happen next? Come on, tell me. And I want that kind of stuff so bad in my wrestling. So it's a weird one, I grant you, but there wasn't a lot on Raw that was just like, was out there. I could throw an alternate out there that was Garza Dong on Monday night. We saw Angel Garza.
Oh, Angel. Okay, I thought you meant just his package was what made you happy.
Well, I mean, you don't get Angel Garza without Garza Dong. So
that's true.
And those,
it does
unusually highly cut trunks that he wears. Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, for me, my most excited moment was seeing Randy Orton do Randy Orton's type of work again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, fair enough, man.
How about you, sir?
I've got to say that as much as I was just saying how I thought Raw was a great show overall, and it was, there was no single moment on it that made me just giddy the way that the stuff that Moxley and Suzuki are doing. Actually, Suzuki in general right now, Minoru Suzuki in general right now. The guy is 51 years old. He's going to be 52 in June. And the stuff that he is getting up to right now is making me absolutely giddy. And there's stuff I'm going to talk about in the news segment in a second that he's up to. I don't want to spoil right now. But just news about what Suzuki's up to in general. And then the stuff he's doing with Moxley, where they're just basically just two psychopaths beating the crap out of each other and laughing about it. It absolutely tickles me pink.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got, like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers working today, but then to have all of this fun stuff happening with him, it is just tickling me pink. Everything about it. I can't wait for more Suzuki as the year goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. And just, is it a tour? Are we coming to the end where he's doing a little bit more comedy and putting other guys over? Or are we seeing the beginning of the end of?
No, that's the thing, Nick, is he's been doing this the entire time. He's been playing the same guy the entire time. I'm Minoru Suzuki. I'm an absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
I will kill you, and I like inflicting pain. And if he's in a comedy match or a regular match, he's the same guy. He just uses that persona comedically, like as a straight man kind of thing in comedy matches, and then uses it as like a dramatic thing in regular matches, and it works either way. He makes it work no matter what he does. He's done comedy matches before, and he's going to be doing them again. Hint, hint at the news segment.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him wrestling a mecha mummy, and the mummy like having a drill and trying to drill into his chest, and Suzuki just no-selling it. What the hell are you doing? I remember a match. It was I want to say it was some sort of like Rumble match or like a Battle Royale match. And Riho, the current AEW Women's Champion, when she was a little girl, was on Suzuki's back trying to choke him out, and he just was like trying to figure out who was attacking him, and he kept turning around. He couldn't figure out who. He was like going around just beating people up with Riho just on his back trying to take him down, and he just was. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I love about him, is he can do anything, but he never really changes. It's always just him.
Yeah.
So,
Minoru.
No,
I think
Minoru.
Lance Archer's been going to the Suzuki school of beating up young lions and killing everyone, though.
Yes, he's going more for the I want to scare children thing.
Right.
Where like I saw him yelling at a kid at
it's working.
or like trying to trying to scare a kid at the Atlanta show.
Yeah.
Calls a kid over and then screams at him, and the kid just kind of like,
He shits himself. Literally. Like Lance Archer walked by and I peed. So it was.
And you're a grown ass man.
Yeah, he's so massive. Jesus Lord.
He's a big.
Well, guys, that is it. Thank you, Surrey and Dangers, for the moment of positivity there. But I'm going to do this a little bit different because it's 2:30 in a hotel room, and I don't want to wake up the neighbors. So we're not done just yet. We've got just enough time for our other news. Lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
I'll help you with it. Right off. That was the most adorable version of it ever. Mike and Maria Kanellis Bennett, or whatever they're calling themselves now. They've had their second kid. He was born yesterday. Carver Mars Bennett has finally popped out, and we may be seeing Maria Kanellis back on TV soon.
Carver?
Carver Mars Bennett.
Kid's destined to be a serial killer. Carver?
Or he could work at a deli counter. Why you gotta be so mad, Nick?
I mean, it's okay.
Maybe he's gonna get into chainsaw sculpture with trees,
right? Or work at a slaughterhouse.
Right. Oh well, okay. Wait, look. Why are you so negative today? Just because it's 2:30 in the morning? Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard worse. I've heard worse.
I've never heard anybody want to name their kid Carver.
They could have named him Billy Bennett. Hi, I'm Benjamin Bennett. Benny Bennett. They could have been way worse. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. All right. Timothy Thatcher. If you don't know that name, you're going to know it soon because it's looking like he's headed to NXT. At the very least, he was 100% at the Performance Center at the same time as a whole bunch of the other new class of their people they're bringing in.
According to Squared Circle Sirens, who also got the Chris Statlander thing wrong, so take it with a grain of salt.
True, but they did get the fact that she was in NXT completely 100% correct.
Yeah.
And that was also a very near thing.
Yeah.
Statlander was apparently like the contract was in front of her, and she walked away from it.
For what it's worth, Squared Circle Sirens, in their defense, are one of the more reliable sources out there for
and
NXT
it's not just
news.
Them. PWI has reported this. Juan has reported this. Like this is getting reported. Thatcher is most likely in NXT. There's also a lot of other aspects of this that make it make sense. Thatcher's an original member of Ringkampf, which was what is now known as Imperium, and the original three were Walter, Thatcher, and oh God, of course I'm gonna space now because my brain is way too goddamn captain. Thank you, Barthel. But yeah, those are the original three members. So to have him back, and Walter even tweeted out a picture of the three of them saying "The Original." So to have him come into Imperium would make nothing but sense. He's also, I have a feeling, at the point where he's like, I'll just take the WWE money. He's 37 years old. He's been doing it for forever.
Right.
So yeah, it would make sense to me that he would come in and just work an easy schedule, make some money with his boys. And Imperium's going to be like the most dominant freaking faction.
Does Imperium get a fifth member now? Is it already in the books that they're going to be that big?
It's that, or he's going to feud with Walter. But I really, I don't know.
Rest for control of Imperium, that would be awesome.
Well, you want to talk about a guy that can come in and realistically like look like he could beat Walter for the UK title?
That's a big
Thatcher.
boy. Yeah,
Thatcher could do it. Big, looks mean, can go hold for hold with Walter. So seriously, that's good stuff. Let's see. You already mentioned that the Kabuki Warriors have passed the Iconics as the longest women's tag team champions in WWE at 121 days. What else? Kota Ibushi. One of the reasons he's out, not just the flu, he's also suffering from what's called Mallory-Weiss syndrome, which is where it's like the mucous membranes which connect your esophagus and your stomach. It's where they start to tear. And it can happen from working out too hard, or if you get hit in the stomach, or if you throw up too much. It's not fun. It's basically, imagine like relentless acid reflux. It's no bueno, but it does tend to heal quickly unless it's a severe case. So he should be back within the next week, unless it's a severe case which requires surgery and is no bueno.
Yeah.
So get well soon, Kota Ibushi. If you were wondering where Jazzy Gabbert went, she actually left WWE about a month ago. She said in an interview with Wrestling Incorporated that she left WWE due to pain that had come back. She had her surgery in 2018, her neck surgery, because her neck was jacked. And she said after the surgery, she was feeling no pain. But now after getting back into the ring, working out and working the schedule in NXT UK, the pain has, for the most part, returned. And it wasn't worth it for the fact that they didn't seem to have any plans for her. When she asked if she could go to the main roster and do stuff, they said, we got nothing for you. And she wasn't getting paid enough to work NXT UK. So she is actually, looks like she is out and possibly, if not fully retired from wrestling, then definitely working very, very few dates, which is too bad. We had a lot of hope for her.
Yep.
Because she's pretty awesome. So let's see. Brody King, our boy Brody King, has re-signed. He's re-signed with Ring of Honor. No report as to how long for, but I'd imagine it's for at least a little bit because he's currently in one of the top factions in that company and working close with Marty Scurll, who is a good person to be close with in Ring of Honor right now. So Brody King will be in Ring of Honor for the foreseeable future. Speaking of Ring of Honor Past and Present is a show that's going to be part of their 18th anniversary weekend. It's happening March 14th, Sam's Club in Las Vegas. And they added a couple of matches to it. They originally...
Hang on. Let me interrupt. They're going to have a pay-per-view at a Sam's Club?
Sorry. The casino, Sam's Town. There's Sam's Club in Sam's Town, Las Vegas.
Can you imagine that?
You don't need a membership to get in, and no, they don't have Frosted Flakes boxes the size of your kid brother. This is actually inside the casino. Sam's. Have you never been to Vegas, Nick? Do you not know what I'm talking about?
I know. I'm being a dick. I'm sorry.
God
Can you imagine a wrestling ring assembled inside of a Sam's Club and there's just people little ladies pushing their carts around and
they just move all of like the clothing in the middle, like on the racks in the middle outside. You put a wrestling ring. I would go to that in a heartbeat.
Me too. All you hear is plywood taking bumps and everything. Just that racket hiddling.
It like spills off into the aisles. Yeah. They're using enormous like things of popcorn to hit each other.
Oh man,
great.
Oh man.
Oh my God, he's got the 14 gallons of canola oil he's going to hit him with. Oh God.
Not the 55-gallon drum of fertilizer. No.
That'd be, hey man, I think that might be a thing. We got to work on that.
No kidding.
But they are So they are having Ring of Honor Past versus Present matches that we know are already happening. Is Generation Next, which of course is Alex Shelley and Matt Sydal versus Villain Enterprises, Marty Scurll and Flip Gordon. Also Homicide versus Brody King. They've just announced there will also be Doug Williams versus Jonathan Gresham. Doug Williams coming back after a long time.
Wow. Okay.
At the same time, they're bringing back the Pride Championship. So that's Pure Championship. So that's awesome. And then Xavier versus Jay Lethal. So looking actually like going to be a pretty solid show. Also, speaking of shows here in Los Angeles, PWG has announced they're having another show on March 29th, and it will be called Kobe.
Oh,
Kobe.
man. I didn't need to hear that.
Los Angeles, man. Oof. It's been rough here since he passed away.
Sorry, LeBron. That's never going to be your team, and it's never going to be your town. It's Kobe's.
It's seriously, especially now.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's one of those things that it's been messing people up in this town. Like a small tangent, but this town has been messed up since that happened. Since Kobe and his daughter and everyone else in that helicopter passed away. Like we have been messed up. I was actually saying in the chat, we were talking about it in the chat earlier. I've seen grown men in the streets holding a basketball and just openly weeping. No one else around them, just out there crying in the street. It's wild. It's wild. So, woof. Sorry, back to the wrestling. MLW has announced a partnership with Dragon Gate.
Hello.
So we could be seeing a lot of really, really fantastic Asian talent coming in to MLW, and also they could be sending their guys overseas to get some really good training because Dragon Gate has some incredible people. I'm already kind of hoping to see if you don't know Dragon Gate, like people like Pac were just recently the champ there. Akira Tozawa came through there. It is a legit. Shingo Takagi was over there for a long time. I would love it to see some of the guys like BXB Hulk coming over here to MLW, or Naruki Doi. Like there's some dudes I really want to see come over to MLW. So I'm very psyched about this. Let's see what else we have. Yes. So I mentioned earlier that Minoru Suzuki and everything he's doing right now is tickling me pink and is currently my mop. Well, it was announced this week that in Ybor City, Florida, at Joey Janela's Spring Break 4 on Friday, April the 3rd, possibly the greatest match in professional wrestling history will be taking place. Minoru Suzuki, one-on-one with Orange Cassidy.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
I'm going to buy if they're streaming anywhere. I'm going to watch the Spring Break just for this match. Spring Break is always a really fun show. Janela Spring Break is always a blast. It's insanity. If you're going to be in Florida, go to this show. And now you really have a reason because, oh my God, I need this match in my eye holes, Nick. I need it. I need it so badly.
We're going to have to figure out how to get you out to Tampa.
Just for that. Just like teleport me into this show. There's so much else going on there too, but like a blood.
It's WrestleMania weekend, by the way, in case you didn't put that together, guys.
Madness.
Oh.
And finally, thank you to Marshall in the Facebook discussion group for pointing this out when I was distracted and got this into the show notes just in time. But apparently, for season 3 of NWA Power, which is just going on right now.
How are they on season 3? They've been on for like 3 months.
We've had 2 pay-per-views.
Oh, okay. So okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah,
all right.
Every pay-per-view. Yeah. So the 3rd season, the new theme song is "I'm Broken" by Pantera.
What?
And I watched the trailer today for season 3. It is glorious. Yeah. It works so perfectly.
God.
It works perfectly. Like I thought Into the Fire could not be beaten. Damn. They picked a damn good follow.
I give you Pantera.
I give you Pantera. And that's the news, Nick.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Ian Dangerous. And thank you guys for dealing with all of our difficulties that we had here in the beginning. Those of you that were there, not you, Esme, you missed it, as always. But thank you very much for joining us and hanging out with us in the chat. For those of you that don't know, we do have a YouTube channel where we live stream at youtube.com/bustedwideopen every single episode we do. So you can come over and subscribe to the channel and get little alerts every time we go live, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And that includes if Nick is on the other side of the world, as I am right now in London. And it's 10 till 3 in the morning because I love you guys and we don't miss a show. So come over and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Come over to Facebook as well. Search for Busted Wide Open. Like our page and send us a join request to get into our discussion group with the rest of the phenomenal ones. And also find a link in there to our Discord server, which is where you want to be. Patrons, especially for you, make sure you go back to Patreon and authenticate once you sign up for your account for Discord so you can get all your goodies unlocked inside of the Discord server. But that is where we have live chats all throughout the week for every show. They're a lot of fun. It really changes the viewing experience when you do it with a big group of people. So I highly encourage everybody to go over and join our Discord server. You can find it in the link in the link in the description below here on YouTube or pinned across any of our social media profiles and in the Busted Wide Open discussion group. You can also find us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. And last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons for being amazing. The amazing individuals that you are, the fuel that runs this machine, the grease that greases the wheel. Thank you very much for all your contributions. And if you guys would like to get in on some of that and help it support, the best way to support this show is at patreon.com/BWO. Throw a couple of bucks in the tip jar. Sign up for one of our reward tiers. Oh, and we missed one. Shout out to DJ Butters for the $5 in the tip jar tonight.
Oh, dude.
Thank you very much, sir, by the way. That is one way you can contribute while we're live here on the show, or if you're watching this after we're on demand, so to speak. You can also find a link to that down in the description below as well, and we will be sure to give you a massive shout-out right here on the show in the next episode we do.
Dude.
But on Patreon, yes, that's the best way to do it. It keeps the ads off the show. It keeps us funded. It keeps things rocking and rolling. And it keeps you guys in some exclusive rewards, such as copies of the show notes for every episode, the ability to ask listener questions for our patron mailbag series that we do every single Saturday, and we love doing. It's one of our favorite things to do. And bonus episodes, which we owe you one for January, but I'm working diligently on it. If you can take a guess at what it is, hint, hint, wink, wink, looking to get that to you next week. So stay tuned. I promise it's going to be worth it.
I got my bottle of whiskey.
Even if only to see Sir Ian Dangerous's reactions to it.
Oh, God. Yeah, last time they didn't get to see my reactions.
No,
this time,
we weren't live for the last one. We're going to do
I was like curled up in my chair. Like I had like one leg up. I was just like hiding over here. Oh. I was hungover as hell, too.
We're going to do a quick recap of the first one. I did write that in so that we could do that really quickly. We left our heroes at Hell in a Cell. That's where we left off. And we're going to pick up from there, go through Survivor Series, through the Royal Rumble, and on to WrestleMania. So stay tuned, guys. I got a nice 8-hour flight back home tomorrow. Hoping to polish that off, do a little more polishing over the course of the weekend, and then get that out to you guys next week. So this one, you get to see live. So if you're not a patron yet, patreon.com/BWO. Make sure you sign up for that $10 tier. That's where you get all the bonus episodes every single month. And some people, we've had some new patrons come on. And make sure you find where you can get your private RSS link so you can throw it in your podcast app of choice or just watch the live stream. I promise it's 100 times more entertaining when we actually do those. So thank you guys for joining us. My name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God,
you are in a hotel room.
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.